Firstly, mate, World Cup. What are your impressions of what this tournament will be like? Will it be any different to a traditional 50-over tournament because it's on the subcontinent? Or, yeah, what do you reckon?
Yeah, look, I think the style of play might be a bit different for different teams. We're lucky that we've got a plethora of all-rounders that can play. We've got multiple spinners that can play, and the makeup of the team, depending on the conditions, I think is going to change quite a bit, which typically probably isn't as standard for other tournaments. So yeah, I'd think that it's going to be a high-scoring tournament as well, and yeah, small boundaries, fast outfields, pretty good wickets. Yeah, there'll be a lot of runs scored.
Yeah, what are we looking at here? Because obviously some wickets can be slow and not much life in them, but if you get those conditions, are we looking at like a double T20 par, like 400 as par in 50, which, I mean, you look back 10 years ago and you would, no way, that would be possible.
Yeah, look, maybe not par, but there'll definitely be wickets there where you're going to have to score a truckload of runs. And then there's also wickets, say Chennai, that are typically known to spin a bit more as well. So there'll be different styles of play at the different wickets, which I think is great for one-day cricket. It'll be interesting to watch as well for the viewers.
What about you getting comfortable with Indian conditions? You've been there so much now, and you're probably more across them than when you first went. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, it's fair to say. I think that's an advantage for us as a team. We've got like I'm lucky to have played there a lot, but so are guys like Glenn Maxwell, who's been to nearly every IPL that there's been. Steve Smith's been to a lot of them, obviously played Test cricket there as well. Davey Warner's been to most IPLs. And I think that's something that's going to hold us in good stead come the big moments in that tournament where, you know, the pressure's on and there's a good spinner on or on a turning wicket and all that sort of stuff. It definitely helps for us to have been playing there, you know, for at least 2 to 3 months every year.
Is there a story that sticks out in your mind about how uncomfortable it is getting used to Indian conditions earlier in your career?
Yeah, absolutely. I think firstly it was just from training there and the wickets to train there are quite tough, you know, for us guys that are from Perth, Western Australia, on a fast bouncy track, you know. So the training there and getting used to playing spin and the conditions there and the pace of the ball coming. But then also I remember playing my first couple of international and T20 games, IPL games there, and the crowd and the energy of the place and the atmosphere is absolutely next level. So as much as it takes a while to get used to the conditions, the energy and the franticness and the pace of just the whole environment there does take a bit of getting used to.
Have you made the mistake of, you know, forgetting that you're recognisable over there? I don't know if that's possible, but you kind of go out and try and do something normal and all of a sudden it's pretty abnormal because everyone knows this bloke's in town to play cricket and we love cricket and we love him.
Yeah, look, I mean, it's all great support in India. I think the fans are brilliant. Yes, you do get recognised and yes, you do have a lot of photos and all that sort of stuff, but it's all very complimentary and it's all, they're great people and like you said, love the game of cricket. So it's all pretty good. And typically, look, when I've been in India, they're busy schedules and either during IPL or during Australian cricket, you pretty much play and the helter-skelter of Indian life and Indian cricket means that you spend a lot of time then chilling and sitting by the pool and having a coffee straight after that just to chill out. There's not much room for anything else.
Fair enough. Challenges to Australia at this World Cup? So open.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely open. I think, to be honest, I think I'm more optimistic than anything about our chances of winning this World Cup and playing this well in this World Cup. I think we've got great flexibility with our order, with our bowling attack, with our spinners. I think we're as experienced as we'll ever be leading into a World Cup as well, which I think is probably the most important thing going to big games, is having experience and steady heads into big games. I think that's been shown over and over again that even though sometimes we might think this is a young man's game, the old head in pressure situations usually comes out on top.
Where's your preferred position? Not that you get the choice all the time, but where's your preferred position?
No, we don't get the choice. No, I'm honestly happy wherever. To be honest, the enjoyment I get from adapting to the situation and figuring out what the team needs, and I'm very happy to really just try and see the game home with what's ever required.
Fair enough. Major League Cricket. We'll talk about your pizza excursion in a moment, because that fascinates me. But firstly, this new concept. Do you get the feeling it's a concept that we'll still be talking about in 10 years' time as something much bigger than what it was in its inaugural season?
Yeah, absolutely. Going over there, I was probably like everyone else, not really knowing what it was going to be like and how the first year of a new competition was going to go. But I think it beat my expectations for sure. I think seeing the support of cricket in the US was very evident. We had something like 10,000 fans at our first fan day.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we had a massive turnout there.
What was your team?
The San Francisco Unicorns. Yes,
The
Unicorns, yeah. So we had a good week in San Francisco before the tournament started.
I bet you did bonding and all that, yeah?
Yes, that's it.
Got those trendy bars over there.
Yeah. So I think the support's going to be great. I think the US does sport brilliantly. I think the people that are involved with starting this tournament up and the interest it's got from the IPL franchises and from investors outside in for us, Silicon Valley, they're excited to make this work. And after being there and spending 3 weeks there, it just seems like it's something that's going to work over there.
Did you meet any of your investors? Angel investors, don't they call them in Silicon Valley?
Yeah, that's what they call them. Yeah. So we met them. Yep. Had a good dinner with them. So they invited some very interesting people, from the founder of Zoom to the CEO of YouTube and all that sort of stuff. So we were very lucky.
They've done all right for themselves.
They've done all right for themselves. Yeah. So I could see this working if that's got anything to do with it.
Was it the dude from Zoom sitting there thinking, yeah, you know what? I was one of me and a mask maker. I reckon we did all right out of the pandemic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they did really well.
So they were interesting people to talk to from a different perspective.
Very interesting people to talk to, and for the first sort of 5 minutes, they wanted to talk about cricket, and then we pretty much quickly scooted past that and wanted to find out about what they're doing and give us an insight into a different world that we don't get to see very often. So
What did you learn about YouTube that you didn't know beforehand?
That I need to start a YouTube channel. Welcome to Puppy's YouTube.
Now, this segues beautifully into what we're about to do. Puppy's YouTube channel could be about pizza, could it not? Now, was this something that you just thought of on the run? So after Major League Cricket, you stayed over there, went to New York, why wouldn't you?
Yep.
Check out the joint. But then you went on a pizza tour? Your own one?
Yeah, not really. Sort of. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but I'm more known through the Australian dressing room as like the carnivore diet sort of thing, just eating meat.
Okay.
So like a pretty strict ribeye diet. Ribeye, eggs, milk, full cream, freshly made yogurt from my nonna. That sort of stuff. But
I thought, vegetables here?
No vegetables.
No vegetables.
No, don't be silly.
How do you keep regular?
Yeah. Well, I spent enough time in India, so that sort of just like offsets that sort of stuff.
I'm worried about your colon here. Very worried.
I've got a specialist, don't worry.
Okay, cool. Excellent.
But yeah, so we took a detour off that diet and decided to let loose for a bit, and so it was Puppy's pepperoni pizzas for 3 or 4 days.
So just pepperoni?
Oh, I love pepperoni pizza.
Yeah, same. I really appreciate that.
So I appreciate all that stuff, all the good foods, but there's a time and place, and New York was the time and place.
The time and place. So what did you do? You just went to about 10 different joints just to basically...
Yes. So me and my girlfriend Sarah, so we did the research into where the best pizza is in New York, and we made sure we visited as many of them as we could, and some of them were, how would I put it? Have you watched Seinfeld? Do you watch Seinfeld? You know the soup episode, the soup Nazi?
Soup Nazi.
Yeah.
No soup for you.
No soup for you. Yeah. So one of them, I can't actually remember which one it was, but most of them were very accommodating. You go in there, nice place, they give you your pizza and that sort of stuff. But one of them was
Just rude.
some beautiful attitude. Yeah, and I loved it. My missus was like, Sarah was like, no, I didn't feel comfortable in there. And I loved it. I loved how rude. They were rude to my face. And I was like, yes. And I asked about, oh, yeah, what's on that pizza? And they were like, pepperoni. And I was like, well, yeah, I know it's pepperoni, but there's also there's plenty of stuff on this thing. Yeah. And they're like, just looked at me and they're like, one piece? No. And I was like, two pizza, like, what? And then they just like, next thing you know, they're giving you pizza. They tell you how much it is. They're not letting you ask questions. They're telling you hurry up. And I was like, oh, yeah, I loved it. I actually loved it. I loved it.
Well, name it. Was it the best pizza of the whole thing as well, or was it overrated?
It was actually a bit cold.
Righto. What's the best pizza in New York? If anyone's going to New York, where do they have to go according to
Prince Street Pizza was brilliant, and Joe's as well. Joe's Pizza. Yeah. Joe's Pizza.
Everyone's heard of Joe's Pizza.
Yeah.
So is this something that's going to be a constant? Looping it back to the possibility of having a YouTube channel. Can you see yourself doing this around the world?
I think, I'm open to it. If anyone's got any ideas, feel free to tune into and subscribe to my YouTube channel that's yet to be created. And float some ideas. I think also, if anyone's going to New York, pastrami sandwich at Cat's Deli. Oh, put the mustard on that.
Yeah. That's trouble again for your cold.
Trouble, mate. Yeah.
Still hasn't passed through, I'm sure. And when you were there, I'm not totally across this story. I just saw something on socials. You got stopped in the street?
Yeah.
Take us through this story. What happened?
Yeah, this has gotten a bit of carry on here.
Okay, well, straighten it up for us. If it has
let's straighten it up.
Carried on beyond the norm.
Yeah, so let's get things straight. So my missus organised a photographer to follow us around. Yep. No, she did not. That's what everyone's thinking. So everyone's thinking, oh, yes, Stoinis, he's organised a photographer to follow him around. No, all that's happened is we've walked out of our hotel. Mm-hmm. Photographer came up to us on the street and was like, hey, I do some street photography sort of thing. Would love to take a photo of you guys. And,
well, you're beautiful people, so
and
I
you're
can
like,
understand it.
You know, you say, what are you, like, you say, yeah, cool. And as we don't know what we're doing. Like, we just sort of stand there, let the girls do what they want. And we're like, just put the smile on. And I didn't know where to put my hands. Honestly.
Where do I put my hands?
Honestly, I did the double hand, like, hug sort of weird thing. And then Sarah had a few photos and that sort of thing, which was nice. And I was in the background sort of getting around it, trying to create some atmosphere for the photo shoot, just like being a buffoon. And then he said to me, oh, now it's your turn by yourself. And I was like, no, we don't, like, what, how do we stand?
What do I do with
my
hands?
Like, what do we do? What do we do? Anyway, and then when I get nervous, it's fight or flight. And I went, you know what, I'm going into a character. And I just went, I have to embrace it. So I went a bit full on. But then I sort of suspected it to just stay there and no one see it. Then it ends up being the guy has 1 million followers on Instagram and pumped it out through his social media. And next thing you know, my head was...
Who was giving you the most grief about it?
Oh, I've copped it.
Yeah,
I've absolutely copped it. Yeah, it's been great. Yeah, and I take it all on board. And yes, all the messages you guys send me on social media, I get them. Yep, thanks guys. And a lot of good feedback, but a lot of don't worry, I get it all. And some people don't understand that that's in jest. It's just enjoyment.
Can you see though that there is an easy thought that drips into people's head that you did organise that though,
given
the type of character that you are?
Very easy thought. See, that's exactly. I don't need this type of publicity.
The assumption.
The assumption type of character you are.
Exactly.
First time we've met.
It's out there though.
Yeah, it's out there. Yeah,
You're
it's
a confident lad.
It's all right. Yeah.
But this time, absolutely didn't hire this person. Just a coincidence.
No, just a coincidence.
Okay.
Yeah. But you know what? I enjoyed it and might do it again. Might hire someone.
Do you feel that having this character and having this, perception of your personality puts more pressure on your cricket, or it doesn't even play a factor whatsoever?
No, I don't think so. I'm just having fun. I'm not thinking about it. So it's no, I just enjoy it. It is just one side of my personality. The other side to my personality is I'm an unbelievably competitive person. So it's why none of my mates want to play golf with me or table tennis or absolutely any sport, because I'll try and win. I'll race them on the treadmill. I'll get in a competition at someone at the gym on a treadmill or something like that. So yeah, no. So that's just one side that I have fun. I love my family and my friends, and then the other side is I love cricket and I love competing. So
it's a good time to love cricket and a good time to be good at it as well, given the options that are available to you around the world. You talk about Major League Cricket, but how do you see the next 5 years in your career about the decisions you have to make about where you're going to play and when?
Yeah, it's a great time to be playing cricket. I think the opportunities are as good as they've ever been. And I think, again, for the next generation, it's going to be better than we've had it, which is exactly how it should be. I think the next 5 years, there's already talk about how things are going to go in the next 18 months with franchise cricket. Options to sign year contracts and all that sort of stuff. So,
would you be open to that?
I think yes, I would be. I also think we could probably all agree that in 5 years that's where it's probably going to be. So I think the transition between now and then is going to be interesting. But if the dialogue stays clean and respectful, I guess, between players, administrators, and whoever it needs to be, I think. I don't think anyone would be surprised if that's the way it's going. So
yeah, it's going to be tricky in a way, especially for someone like yourself. You're a commodity in the eyes of IPL franchise owners and the year-round contract, and then you get the call from the Australian selectors say, mate, we've got five T20s over in the West Indies. We want you to play, and then it clashes with an IPL. You're caught in the middle. How's that going to balance out, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I think there might not be clear-cut answers, but I think. Personally, and for Australian cricket, we're in as good a position as ever with quite a senior group playing for Australia, and good relationship with administration and coaches and that sort of thing. That, like I said, if the communication's good and it's respectful, I think the understanding between both parties should make this next sort of 5 years quite self-explanatory, I guess. Yeah.
BBL, for you, what are you expecting this season, this summer?
I think it's great that there's been a few changes to the schedule. I think obviously the international schedule is going to be really busy leading into it as well. But even for fans, having 10 games, having more riding on each game, hopefully contributing to massive crowds at home venues for the Melbourne Stars and for every other home team. I think it's going to entice the highest quality overseas players as well. So I think it's in a good spot to have a massive season, a massive draw for the crowd.
Stars going to live up to their name this summer?
I think so. I think if we reflect on last year, obviously Maxi was missing. We had a few injuries, as do a lot of teams, but also we lost 5 games, I think, in the last over. Which can all change. You're never going as well as you think, and you're never going as bad as you think. So I think you swap a few of those games around, you bring Maxi in, and we're a dangerous team.
Team to beat?
I think it's always the Scorchers. I'd always go with the Scorchers.
Hardest bowler to face at the death? One of those big tall bastards from the Scorchers. They seem to just roll them off the production line, or someone else.
Yeah. I think, the Scorchers boys are always well drilled. I think Spencer Johnson impressed me last year, and he's making his debut, hopefully, on his debut tour for Australia as well. So he's a nice prospect for Australian cricket. So I'll throw his name in there.
Well, mate, thanks so much for the chat. Look forward to seeing whatever the YouTube channel becomes, and look forward to seeing you bumping into photographers in New York next time you go there as well.
Thanks. Cheers.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks.